Goldstein.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I start by saying it's very disappointing to see the continuation of this gesture, grandstanding, virtue signalling politics from the opposition through the moving of this amendment today, because in the end, what this government is focused on is outcomes for the Australian people. And what we actually have with the Fair Work Commission is we had a Labor reference to a Labor-created Fair Work Commission to a Labor-appointed commissioner. And the response that came back is the one they're now opposing. Some would almost have to say they question whether the political judgment of the Australian Labor Party to bring this issue forward and to bring forward such a reference which led to the outcome is almost so that they can simply get up here and actually sprout out how much they disagree with it. It's almost like there was a political arrangement that occurred in the first place, and it's deeply disturbing to be able to draw those conclusions, but it seems kind of self-evident. But that's what we're seeing today, gesture politics and virtue signalling. And that's when you have to recognise just how out of reality and out of step and out of touch this opposition is, because they're not actually interested in delivering better outcomes for young Australians who need more work opportunities or more creation of jobs so that they get their first taste in life, the kernel of opportunity and of work and the dignity of work, and particularly for a lot of women who want the opportunity to be able to work, who often, particularly when they're balancing out some other family arrangements, are more likely to be able to work in casual arrangements. And this government is a government that is committed not just to the opportunity of the few, not just to the interests of one sectional interest or another, but actually to the opportunity of everybody, to actually have a country where people who want jobs and opportunity can actually secure it and not be priced completely out of the market based on regulation and legislation or bad decisions that have been made by the previous government to actually make it harder for them to get jobs. Imagine that. A legislative and regulatory arrangement that actually makes it harder to get jobs, pushed by a party that claims they want better outcomes for workers. Well, I guess if you're only focusing on the interests of the people who are members of the union, and that's particularly these days what the modern Labor Party is about, but particularly public sector workers, they don't worry about unemployed people. They don't spend any time thinking about them. They don't actually stand up for the interests of people who don't have jobs and want to secure an opportunity to be able to build the foundations of a happy and successful life, whether it's to be able to secure the opportunity to be able to afford your own home, or secure the opportunity to be able to hold that dignity of work to provide for your family. That's the foundation of a liberal philosophy. It's actually one of the core reasons why I'm a liberal, is because we actually believe in the dignity of work and the opportunity it provides. And the only position that comes from the opposition at the moment is to make that harder for people. I don't know what's going through their brains sometimes, Deputy Speaker. They don't actually seem to have any understanding, because it's not just harder for the workers, it's actually harder for people who want to create economic opportunities for them. The number of people I speak to in my electorate who are aware of the challenges of actually employing people get so frustrated, and I understand their frustration. They're actually trying to do good for this country. They're actually trying to create opportunities for more people to expand their business and opportunities and employment opportunities, and the response is heckling and hectoring from the opposition who want to make it harder. And they can't understand why they want to make the opposition want to make it harder to employ more young people to give their opportunity in life. Why the opposition, the modern Labor Party, is making it harder to employ women who want casual work arrangements which work to balance out their lifestyles, and to the men who are in exactly the same situation, particularly when they're doing their best to create opportunity while at the same time building the opportunity for a family life. And one thing I will agree with the previous speaker is that there are other priorities and other issues for businesses as well. They're particularly concerned about rising electricity prices. What we've actually got is a federal government that's for the first time actually sitting down and focusing on electricity prices in the right way, which is worrying about reliability, making sure people can afford supply, as well as the environmental challenges, rather than just obsessing and appeasing to a green vote, actually thinking about what does the country need to secure the opportunity so that people can actually go on and employ people and pay for people's salaries and jobs. But if they're really their confected outrage about this issue, the virtue signalling they do in the other place and here, was sincere, then let's sit down and have a proper conversation about industrial relations reform. If you're concerned about the decision that the body you set up on the reference that you set up by the appointment of the person that you put in, if you're so concerned about it, let's sit down and have a proper conversation about it. But we're not. we just get more and more fluff that's being put out there in the community because they want to be able to gesture to their communities that they're trying to defend them when it's a complete lie.